So, Framestore is back on board for the sequel for Paddington. Did you guys always want it to be involved? Did you know you were going to be involved in the sequel?
Well, I think after we'd done the work on the first film that Paul King and David Heyman really enjoyed working with Framestore, and there's a history with working with David Heyman. So I think that, yeah, they were certainly the first sort of Framestore were the first port of call for picking up the little bear again. Yeah, so I think it was something that they hoped would happen.
Yeah, this is certainly. It seems like a little bit more of a bigger production this time, and especially so with the Pop-Up Book, which is just amazing. It's just magically beautiful scenes there. How much work actually goes into that, and what kind of research did you do?
It was all told around about a year's worth of work from when we started looking at testing how the pop-up book would look, how it would actually move, how what the style of animation would be within that world of the pop-up book. There was also a lot of backwards and forwards with production designer Gary Williamson, and we had a paper engineer who was on board as well, and so there was a lot of backwards and forwards on making sure that design looked how everybody wanted it to, and so Paul would be happy before we moved into the visual effects process. But then the visual effects process itself, there was just lots and lots of iterations of different camera moves in the entirely CG world that we created.
Yeah.
So it was quite a big ask, but I think the end result looks lovely.
It's amazing, yeah. Definitely. I mean, how many of those ideas that you had to implement in this one came from the first film as well? I hear there was a little bit of a crossover.
I mean, in terms of the
animation, because that Paul said, obviously the Pop-Up Book, he was thinking of that in the first one.
Yeah. I think there was some ideas that just didn't make it story-wise, but this time I think there was a few things where he wanted to make sure that they got in there, and the Pop-Up Book was one of those. Yeah. So.
Okay. Paddington is just adorable anyway. How do you do that? Just how fall in love with an animated bear, but a CGI bear. I mean, is there actually human movement in there as well? Do you have to have people doing that and then you base it on that?
Well, there's a bit of that. I mean, we had Ben Wishaw's voice record performance, which we'd often use as a sort of a go-to for certainly to help the animators when it came to getting the nuanced performance that we'd want to get across. We also had there was a professional clown that worked on the first film who we got back so that he could imbue a lot of the comic moments with that performance, which we'd give to the animators and they could take that on board. And then there was also instances where Paul himself would be giving us direct performance that we would then put into the bear. So there was a lot of different influences, but I think as well there was a lot of direction from the animation team itself to sort of really bring out that sort of lovable little bear, but sort of feels a bit like this cuddly little kid. So yeah,
definitely. How long a process is that? I mean, how long does it take?
What
are the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how long the shots are. Really, I mean, some of the sequences we worked on for a long time. You've got Gruber's Antiques, where it's a real sort of like, you know, that's part of the story where you really kind of sets up what the film's going to become about, and there's a lot of nuanced sort of emotional resonance about him talking about his family, and that can just take time to hit the right notes with the performance and the animation and get something that actually clicks and everyone's going, that's it, that's what we want, that's, you know, you buy that performance. So.
Okay. And at this point, do you know if there's going to be a Paddington 3, or are you guys going to be on?
I don't know at this point. No, I don't know, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for your time.